Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the GeekVerse podcast, an impromptu news episode. I am still the Clown Prince of Podcast, Travis, and I'm joined by...
I am Mando Man, Kirklin Batzer.
Jedi Master Taylor Field.
my favorite podcasters. Yes, this was not on the docket. We are reviewing this because there's been quite a few little news. So we're going to talk about some Mandalorian Star Wars stuff. And then right after, there's going to be like a rapid fire of stuff like the Supergirl casting, some other just kind of movie news. That'll just be quick thoughts for everything. But yeah, there's enough that we thought, let's do this because we got Echo that's going to be doing tomorrow. So we'll be reviewing that. That'll be dropping on Friday. And then there's other stuff recording and everything. So go check out the feeds. But yeah, you know what to do. Hit subscribe. In the description down below, please, we would like you to go fill out the survey. We're doing that survey. We do that every year. Just let us know what you like, what you don't like. If there's something you've always wanted us to do, change. Or just general questions. Like even if you want to know how we pick things behind the scenes or whatever it may be, that's the time because it is an anonymous survey. So you can do whatever you please. Of course, be nice because if you're not nice, we're just going to delete it. So you'll go in there, say something that's going to be gone. So it doesn't, you could do that. You'll get your 5 seconds of, fame there, and then we'll get a laugh out of it, and then we'll move along. But if you got some, nice critique, something that's going to actually help the podcast, or just something you're curious about that, hey, maybe why don't you do this cast, or why do you do things this? Why didn't you, I have a good response. Someone said, why didn't you review Kills the Flower Moon or Saltburn, stuff like that? We'll talk about all those things when we do a town hall, because that's what we do. We do that. We take about 2 weeks to go over it with ourselves, and then we'll do a town hall. So we would really appreciate that. It takes about 5 minutes. And shout out to the Patreons. Shout out to the Patreon producers, Aaron Braden, April Darkness, Muds, Jack Grant, and Sam. Sam, you got to tell me how to pronounce your name. I will one time. Once you're on After 9, finally, because is it you or you? Who knows? But thank you very much, sir. You can go join that to do a bunch of voting, get a shout out, pick a movie or game you want us to review. And yes, Golden Geeks are coming up soon, so lots of good stuff. If you like what we do, please head over to Patreon at any tier. We really would appreciate that. You can join stuff like After 9. After 9 last week was a banger. That was a good one. We had just a whole house, a full 10. Anytime when we're like, oh, should we do Zoom? Who knows? We hit that mark, So it was a really good time talking about aliens and Taylor fighting coyotes. So, yes. We're now going to talk about The Mandalorian. So this came out yesterday. It was official news. The Star Wars blog post or whatever put out there. And there was quotes from Favreau and Filoni and Kathleen. And we're so excited. So to break this down, they've announced that they are doing a Mandalorian movie. It's going to be called The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is a fantastic title. Mandalorian and Grogu. They also confirmed that Ahsoka Season 2 is in development, but it's pretty much happening. In an article, it did say something about a Season 4 of Mandalorian still happening, but we don't know how much of that was just like, oh yeah, it's happening, or if there's another character taking over, or if that's not happening. Who knows? But that's the plan. Apparently, this is going to be the first movie, so... Classic Star Wars. Originally, the Rey movie was going to be first, like of the returning of Star Wars films, but that's been pushed back for this one. So, Taylor Field, I was gonna say hot off the press but it's been a little bit now, a couple of 24 hours or so. What are your thoughts on this? As far as sounds like whatever season 4 initially is going to be, there might be a 4th season, but the plans for the 4th season have transferred into this. We had heard rumors about this. Think sometime in the fall of last year where there were some murmurings like, oh, they might do a Mandalorian movie. So now it's official. And obviously with Star Wars, take it with a grain of salt because you never know. But as of right now, that's the plan. It's going to be filming this year.
Yes. So my first thought was excitement. And my second thought was, is this
horseshit?
Because this, how does this compare to the Dave Filoni film? That's a different film, right? Because Dave Filoni, we're speculating he was going to do that Avengers style movie that's going to kind of bridge all of the Disney Plus shows together. Is that correct?
That's what the film would still be supposedly, but it sounds like it's going to go this Mando movie, Ahsoka season 2, and then that movie because Dave is working on said Ahsoka show. So
okay, that makes sense then. As far as like our first movie back in theaters, I feel like Mando and Grogu is the way to go. I know season 3 was not hot for a lot of people, including you guys, and it definitely was just unfortunately one of those scenarios where from season 1 to season 3 it just was going down.
I don't think so.
I would say Book of Boba Fett damaged it, and season 3 damaged it because at end of season 2, like season 2 was hype, but season 2. Like
Yeah,
it definitely had some side like well no, I'll take that
season
back.
two's
Season 2 was
beloved
pretty
by
good.
everybody. That's why I just
Yeah.
couldn't get on the. It was going down. No, season 2 was the hype. I think it started with Boba Fett. That was the start of something's going on
Like
here.
I love Boba Fett. I like it a lot. The thing that just detracts it is just the fact that it does bring down Mando. It has to go and touch upon that storyline, that narrative, and just mess around with Grogu coming back. That being said, I think there's a lot of people, everyone recognizes Grogu. He's a huge icon, and I feel like just to hit the box office hard with a Mandalorian movie is the way to go. This is I've been really like, as much as I love those titled numbered Star Wars films, I've really just been craving just an anthology Star Wars movie to hit the big screen again. And while we keep getting it baited in front of us, like, oh, Rogue Squadron, oh yeah, the fucking
gosh, I
Taika
forgot about
movie and all these other films and whatnot. Kevin Feige Star Wars film, all
Feige
these
film.
Rogue
films have been
Squadron was
baited.
supposed to be out a couple weeks ago. Remember?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, I want this to be true. I really, really do. And I feel like the odds are really in our favor because we have Dave Filoni put in a new position. We got John Favreau spearheading this project, which is great.
Yes, I
And
forgot to mention he's directing this.
so I like our odds here. This is just says all the mixings to be what I hope a $1 billion movie. And if this can really do it well, then I feel like this is going to give the Disney a big jump start to think, hey, let's get back on that track. Now maybe we don't have to do. Well, it wasn't two. Was it 2 films a year? Because no, we got Solo.
No, originally
in
well,
spring.
No, it was 1 film a year, but that was their initial plan. Their plan was to do
Right.
1 film a year. Solo bombed, and they're like, "Oh no, never mind, carry on." You know,
I don't mind the one a year. I think that's great. But for Star Wars, I think it'll just exhaust people. I really, really do. I think doing a 2-year break in between is fine. I think that'd be preferable. But this just has me super excited, and to set up that Ahsoka season 2, and just to have something where it's a show and then transitions into a big screen movie. Has that happened in the past with other projects?
like Star Wars or just in general.
Just in general.
Big screen, it's a little rare. I know because I haven't watched them, but I know there was like Firefly became Serenity. They did that. I know
Oh,
there's
right.
lots of like.
Breaking Bad, El Camino.
That's what I was gonna say. Though there's lots of TV-esque movies. Like Netflix, of course, there's a debate if it's TV movie, right? But like, there's a lot of hey, we're gonna do a movie for this show, but for I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But I know Firefly is Serenity, but it's not a common practice. I'd say you probably wouldn't even get to double digits. But I'll do a look here.
Looksy Lou.
What about you, Kirkland?
Yeah, I think this is a fantastic idea. I definitely I don't remember how long ago we were speaking about these murmurs through
What
the
the
webs on
The first thing I get, TV shows that got movies. First result, old. M. Night Shyamalan's old. Like, no, what the fuck? Continue.
damn Google. Go switch to Bing. But yeah, like when we were first talking about this idea, I just thought it was a really smart idea just for what they were able to kind of create with Grogu and Mando, like that dynamic that everybody was just loving on. Like season 1, Mando, man, everyone was talking about just how adorable Grogu was, and then season 2, everybody was still talking about that, and then season 3 was the weird one where I feel like I really, really wanted to just like keep loving the show, but what it was showing me, it wasn't the same as to what we were at. And I definitely think just the decision that they made on like the big consequence moment with Grogu to just reel that back, that really just like brings down my overall my overall thoughts on the show in general of just
Put that in my throat.
because, like, I don't know, I look back on the early adventures and just thinking about where we end up with that big moment. It totally brings down the quality of the show.
Imagine if they fucking saved it for this movie that they're making.
Oh my gosh, hey, and like
What a moment that would have been.
I don't know what
the
to expect
marketing.
really for it, but like part of me almost wants to see like some like flashback moments of like Grogu, and just to fill in those cracks to kind of recover like that moment to make it a little bit more impactful or meaningful, or maybe even just Mando speaking upon how he was feeling while missing Grogu, and like maybe they can stretch out that time frame like a little bit longer than what was perceived in the show. That's just some of my overall like general my initial thoughts. That's the word I'm looking for on just kind of what I'm hoping for the story. But for like the main story overall, I don't think it has to be anything too crazy. I actually think this could be a very safe film of just having like a full hour, around that 2 hour mark of just Grogu and Mando on an adventure and just kind of encapsulating like some of the best moments. I'm not trying to say recreate them, but just bring us back to just the peak of not even necessarily like the Mando stories, but just the relationships between Mando and Grogu. And I think this is going to be fantastic. I'm really expecting it to be possibly in like that, might sound harsh, but like that 7.5, maybe 8 range on like quality wise. I don't want to, write it off too early, but I want to set my bar there. So if it exceeds it, it's just, man, I'm totally back in the faith of Mando. But just for the overall, like, I guess, lifespan of Mando and Grogu, I am happy to see us leading into a big movie because I don't know. It would be really sad if the show just like kept coming out with seasons and the quality just not necessarily kept going straight down, but just kind of stayed at that mediocre. Maybe they had like a nice hype moment, but then it just keeps deteriorating because it's like they had something so great there, and it just like slowly becomes that old used toy that you just you don't use anymore. So I hope it does really well. That's it, and I am happy that the decision's at least coming out. Taylor, when you're mentioning like Rogue Squadron, and it just like makes me think back to when we had that hype panel of all these like that was when they showed off Acolyte and everything, and it's just I feel like that was 2 lifetimes ago. I feel like old Viserys over here, just looking over at these old Star Wars titles. Just waiting for them to come out. But
I mean, on the plus side, like, because you're talking about that like Disney investors call,
Investors
like,
Day,
from 2020 or something like that. Yeah. So on the bright
it's only
side,
2020, but it feels like it was like 8 years ago for me.
it does. I mean, out of the projects that we got announced back then, like we still have Acolyte that's happening. Ahsoka's already happened, which is
all the
great.
shows are good.
Yeah, the shows.
The only show that
shows are
got
good.
canned was that Republic Commandos one with Gina
Rangers of
Carano,
the New Republic.
If you want to check her out, just come to Vancouver or something. They're here, so.
Didn't know what you're talking about there.
Yeah.
Luckily I got that article.
So before I take over and I do my whole Simon Calvin, which I know someone said that, I want like a different, more current, because I was like, someone said in a positive way, like, oh, I like that Trash, like the Simon Cowell group. I want like a more, like, something more relative or more recent, because that just feels so old, you know?
What's recent?
Still
What's
kicking
the
it.
I don't
modern
know.
day
So,
Simon?
no, it's fine, but someone give me something more that's more of a criterion that is
You gotta
of
wear
our
more
generation.
V-necks
So.
to be Simon Cowell, I think.
Oh, we should do that. Yeah, no one can be Randy. We'll get Kyle back to be Randy, but
It's a no for me, bro. I'm sorry.
That's
Whatever the
no
quote
for
is.
me, dog. Yeah, and that might be this topic here. But as Buzz mentioned, Entourage movie, yes. I'm gonna shout out the ones because I found the top 25. I'm not counting like Mission Impossible, which was like a show and then they turned into a movie. I'm counting the ones that were the same cast, same adjacent thing, because I don't think that counts of like, well, there was a show in the 60s.
Yeah.
No. So I'll say they did with the X-Files. That's one. They did Veronica Mars. I'm not sure if you guys watched that show at all. Twilight Zone, which I would say counts but doesn't, because like it's always new actors, but like still it was a show, whatever. The Simpsons, that happened. One that we'll be talking about is Star Trek. That's a bit later, but Star Trek, obviously many films and just the whatnot shows. South Park did that. Sex
Guy
and the
in
City,
there.
which did that very well. Family Guy's never had a theatrical movie though, Kirkland.
Really? They didn't
No,
have
they
like Blue
keep-
Harvest come out?
No,
Okay.
they keep kicking it around, but I think they missed their boat there. Jackass, the movie, I would count that because same cast and crew and everything like that. There's one more, and there's a lot of ones like El Camino or the Deadwood movie, but those are HBO, Netflix. I'm talking ones that just did the theatrical because that's what this is doing. And Borat did that as well, because obviously that was one. Bob's Burgers movie, yeah, I don't know why they put that out. I can't remember the box office on that, but
Teen Titans
sorry.
Go. That's another one.
yeah, they did that. Yeah. So here's the two minds, and this is where, because I'll have questions for these two, and the people, why you talk about the business? Well, that's what we talk about in this podcast. But that's why I give you my two minds. Personally, love the idea. I love everything about it. The show, season 3, I don't care. It was a fucking mess. It was, diminishing returns on that show, everything about it. I think most people now, even if you like season 3 and all the Mando shows, I think most people go, yeah, the Grogu thing, that was a mistake. I think it's shown, and they really did not handle it well writing-wise. So I think that was a big step down, and I guess I'll save that thought for business. So I'm more excited for... not a 6, 7, whatever. I guess it was more like 7 to 8, 9 episodes of Mando. They were a bit longer, but I think that show many times would not have much of a clear directory where something like Andor did or Mando season 2 did, you know? So I think that this is a great idea. I think this is the perfect guy because, hey, I didn't love The Lion King, but I really like Jungle Book, Chef, Elf, Zathura, Iron Man. Like, Favreau's a great director, and Favreau, that was the big selling pitch when we got Mando, was, man, Favreau's going to be directing some episodes, and he rarely does now. He writes a lot, but like, he's still one of the better directors out there. So I feel like, okay, this is the right move. The title's whatever. I don't think they'll change it. The title's stupid and sounds like really lame, but that gets people's butts in the seats because they know Grogu. So it's like, okay, here we go. So I think from a what I want, and I want Star Wars films back. We haven't got a film since 2019. Talking about the Investors Day.
Wow.
We're coming on, by the time this comes up, we're coming on 6-7 years since we've gone a Star Wars film. That should have never happened. Considering 4 out of the 5 films were all billion-dollar earners. That's where... At the same time, I still go, hey, Kevin, you should not do a War Machine movie. Hey, Kevin, you shouldn't do a Young Avengers. I still think it's a good idea. Like, let's not just stop everything and like, oh, we had a couple bombs this year. Let's give up. Where Kathleen Kennedy and company like had one bomb. It was like, okay, that's it. Let's not do films anymore. And I think because they thought for a while that, and this is where I'll transition the business-wise, that we do stuff on streaming and it's safe because there's numbers, but whatever, we're pushing a streaming service, yet I think we've talked about this before, right? And Bob Iger, when he come back, said a lot of dumb stuff, but he did say that overall Disney was going to kind of cool it on the streaming stuff. Speaking of War Machine, if that does happen, that was a series that's turning into a movie. On the Star Wars side, this is like a series that is turning into a movie. I think we're seeing more and more that we will get shows, but it's not going to be the same amount that we did because this will be more profitable than the show. Because I think it as a streaming show has tapped its audience. I don't think they're adding anybody more that would throw down the $9.99 or $10 a month, $12, whatever it is, to get Disney Plus to watch this adventure. So that's where I think it is smarter. But now, what my question is, and this is where I can't wait from a business side, is I cannot wait to see what this does, because we're going to really get to see what the touchstone of Disney Plus and people watching it actually is. Like, what is the carbon footprint it's put there? Because you can see this trailer, and I'm just talking about the GA. Of course, the Star Wars fans will be there, but that doesn't matter. As we saw with Marvel and DC, when just the core fans come out, those movies don't make money, right? You need our moms, our dads, people that watch something once a year. The problem is that's where I personally am like Kirklin, where I want a nice, solid adventure, keep it simple, Mandalorian, Grogu, 2 hours, go. But I think the risk here that happens is, do people just look at it and go, I already have 3 seasons of that on Disney Plus? And that's where I think it is smarter for both Star Wars and Marvel to make movies that are 100 million, 120, 150 even, and keep the 200s for a episode 10. And Avengers, like Captain Marvel, should not be 250 plus. Mando should not be 250 plus. But I think that's the issue they're going to have here, is that I think Mandalorian has to be 200 million, because you have to do something. The 2 biggest things you have to do is, 1, do not make it you have to watch all 3 seasons to enjoy this movie. That'll kill it right away. You don't want it to be like Ahsoka, where there's, and I liked Ahsoka, but how many connections it had. You don't want that. And 2, you do have to make it feel different than just a regular episode, because I don't think what they should do is just film 3 episodes of Mandalorian, make it a movie, and put it on theatrical. Oh, the stupid thumbs up. I hate this goddamn thing.
It freezes you up so bad, too.
Because if it just looks like the show, but it's a movie, I don't think people will pay for that. But then I also think it's super risky for them to make a $200 million movie and hope that it's a big hit. So I think they're literally fucked. I think they're in a rock between they're in between a rock and a hard place. But that's what's exciting about it. Because I'm like, okay, this is where you gotta make a good movie, because bad movies make money. But I mean, like, you have to try to make something of quality. And I think you just have to have something that can hook those people back, because I think there's just a big portion of people will go, oh, I don't need to see this. I'll catch this when it's on Disney Plus. I've already seen these characters before. And especially when Mando season 3, I would say this is the lowest that the hype's been for Mandalorian.
Yeah,
so like
I'd agree.
To get people now to, when they could just pay, they could wait till the show's done, pay $12, sit at home, watch it all in a weekend, be done. Now to get them to go out, leave their house, maybe they got to get a sitter, and maybe they got to pay them. Then they got to go out. They're at the theaters for 2 hours, 2.5, and that's going to be $25 to $30 right there, maybe, if they want anything. And that's just like a couple. If there's kids, anything, you'd be looking at close to 100, popcorn, everything. That's the issue where we've seen tons of movies this year where people will wait for streaming because they just don't care. And that's where I think they got to go bold with this. But then I think if they go bold and it doesn't do well, then it's like a Solo situation where and that was different because it was a big budget because they switched directors and reshot stuff. But this is what I says. I think this movie will make a profit, but there's, to me, a difference between a profit and a hit. And that's where it's like, let's say the movie is 200 million, it makes 400 million. Okay, it made its budget back and then some. It's like it just broke even or made a little bit of profit. But
Yeah.
if they do that, another thing that's fucked is that Filoni movie. Because I think if this movie just makes a profit and isn't a hit, Filoni's never directing that movie. Because why, if this movie just breaks even, would they go, hey, let's take this risk again? And that one's even bigger. But we'll see, because I think they are starting off right with Grogu as far as the Disney Plus stuff, because that's the biggest thing since the sequel trilogy, right? Is that character. I'd say it'd be like Rey, and I could even argue Grogu is bigger than Rey and Kylo, but still, I'd say the top three are like Rey, Kylo, and Grogu. So it's the right thing to do. They're doing all the right things. Favreau, it's just the question of, we're really going to see, okay, will people show up to this? And I think it's like a mix. If you put a gun to my head, I say no. And that's where do you guys think as far as like a financial, like we're all on board as far as, okay, we like this idea, do a film. Hopefully it's all killer, no thriller, but do people actually come out to see this after 3 seasons? And even Mando's been in Boba, so like 3 in a couple episodes, you know?
Yeah. I actually think this is going to be a really, really big movie.
Okay.
I would be kind of surprised if it just breaks even. I like you brought up a good point of just like it is expensive compared to what you could just be watching at home, but I don't know. I just feel like the way that hopefully that the way that they market it is going to be just really shining the fact that they're coming to the big screen, and it has been a long time since we've seen a big screen Star Wars movie, and this one over because what was the last theatrical Star Wars?
Rise
was
of Skywalker.
Was it actually
2019.
Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah,
like
$1 billion movie.
Yeah, like that one's a part of the main saga, but I still
Yes.
feel like the fact that we have Grogu in there, it feels like it's more family oriented than those what the other movies are. I know Star Wars always is in that family category, but this one in particular, I just feel like the Grogu aspect is just such a big thing. So I would be very surprised if this doesn't make crazy amounts of money. Now it does depend on what the budget is. Obviously, if you have a $500 million budget and it makes $700 million, like that's not very impressive for the in versus the out. But
fuck, this movie's gonna look great.
Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
god, yeah.
But I don't know. Like I don't really know what number to shoot out there. Like, is something like 150 million? Is that crazy for a budget like this? Because that's like the Fall Guy budget. I was looking at that one earlier.
Fall
just to
Guys,
compare.
150 million. What are they doing? David Leitch, Bullet Train wasn't that successful.
Bullet Train
It's-
was 75. So that's crazy.
fuck. It's tough because we're coming in at a time where, like we talk about, we just did our movie draft. Patrons, you'll begin that episode, but it's like the year before, like we picked like Mission Impossible, Flash, like some other movies like that, and then you look at Flash, where it's like that bombs. I don't think any of us, even if we didn't think it was $1 billion, none of us were gonna say the Flash was gonna bomb, you know. So that's why it gets tough. So they said they want to scale back. So I say it's at least 150, but I feel like it's gonna be 200. I really do feel like it'd be 200. And I think that's what all the Star Wars films of the Lucas era film have been, at least more, but I think it'd be about 200. So you're looking at, you got to make at least 400 to be profitable.
Yeah. Update: Fall Guy was actually 125 million, not 150.
Still,
but
that's
crazy.
That's a big ask for that. You know, luckily, like I said, we'll check out the movie draft. We talked about it, but man, 125. But yeah, and because I think episodes of the show all cost like around like, I think it's like 20 to 30 million and stuff. So it's gonna. That's my worry. Is like I said, I don't want it to be. If we get on the big screen and we're watching a 2.5 movie and we have those fucking bad volume scenes, like they can't have that, in my opinion. The way Andor,
look at it, Grogu.
Yeah,
Isn't
like
it beautiful.
the way Andor looked, that's how this. It'd be different if like, hey, we're gonna just put Andor the show on the big screen. Like, oh, this works already. But like, and I'm not saying the volume's trash. Like they do a lot of good stuff with the volume, Mandalorian. I'm just saying I don't want it to be like, oh, Mando's just taking the same corner 5 times. You know, like that.
Yeah.
That's my hope. I hope it's being treated like a movie, not just a show we're filming and we're putting into a movie now. You know.
It's funny too, because like with how big Grogu and Mando is, if someone asked me, like if Filoni or whoever asked me, would I rather have an Andor movie or a Mando movie, I would actually say an Andor movie, just for the quality of what that show was. I just think you get such a fantastic story out of that for a big screen. But I understand why they wouldn't do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
over Mando.
And the other thing I'll say, because I'll throw it to you, Taylor, and this has been the big debate, because I feel like we're not. This isn't a news topic, but it's today. Pedro, the Barbarian director's next project. He was starring in that. He dropped out of that, and then I guess they're filming F4 and Q3 now. So originally it was supposed to be filming Fantastic Four in March, but now it's Q3. So I think that movie might be getting pushed out of 2025. So we'll probably return back to that at another time, but. That's what another interesting debate is like, oh, this is easy because you have your main star and he can just do the voice. I'm on the complete other side where you got to have Pedro front and center in this movie. I think you have to do something where in the movie, the show, well, I guess it's a movie, in the movie, somehow he loses that helmet. Maybe he doesn't take it off, but let's say it just gets destroyed and it's Pedro. Like, to me, to get this to a level to be a hit, I think you do need Pedro's face on the poster, around, in trailers. I don't think you can get away with, oh, it's just his voice. Like, because, like, what, you got Carl Weathers, and I don't think you'll have, like, Ahsoka. I mean, like, the Mando cast is not big stars. I know somebody can say, oh, it's Grogu. And I know people are going, oh, Adam Driver, Daisy Ridley. Doesn't matter. Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford all came back for those things. So that doesn't even count when people say, oh, well, those were new actors. No, all the OGs came back, and Rogue One just happened to be, hey, Star Wars is the fucking shit again. So it's just like, I personally feel like they need Pedro. I'm not saying it has to have the helmet off the whole movie, Master Chief style, but I think there has to be an act, and I'd say maybe the third act with that helmet's off, and you got Pedro.
Can you imagine if the answer to that is just they do the Iron Man thing? He's in the helmet the entire movie, but it just keeps going to the inside to see Pedro like talking.
Yeah, there you go. Even that, I think you where are you, Kirklin? And then we'll go to Taylor on the thoughts of that. Like, where do you think Pedro? Do you think they can get away with? Oh, just his voice, because he's a busy guy. He's doing Gladiator. He's gonna do F4. He's so busy he just had to drop out of a movie. Like, that's where it's coming up now. Like, and this could be a reason though, right? Like the news came out in the movie, and then now it's, oh, he's also dropped out. So that could be it of, oh, he's doing Mandalorian movie. And he did say, sorry, my last point, I didn't mean to cut you off, but for season 3, he wasn't on set once, unlike season 1 and 2. He just did the voice. So this could be a way to get him back if his schedule's starting to clear up and he's dropping other projects.
It's kind of tricky because my heart obviously wants to see Pedro on there front and center, helmet off, just leading the show with Grogu. But at the other end of the spectrum, like I feel like unless it's a really key part of the plot on like why he's taking his helmet off, they made such a big moment about that in the show already. So if he just pops off his helmet, Master Chief style, and he's just rocking helmetless for the whole like, again, that just kind of brings down the earlier portions of the show.
You destroy it. He loses in battle. I think that's a smart way because it's not his choice, you know.
Yeah, but like, okay, it would have to be a really big epic moment to really sell me on it. But it's tricky because it's what I want, but it's like you got to still convince me on that. You still got to sell me on that. So it's kind of a tricky situation because of just the way that they've kind of went with the story already. But yeah, I want it. Just make it make sense, please.
So Taylor, where are you the Pedro of it all, and then where are you also on what is the what do you think the success factor could be in this all said and done? Because obviously Star Wars people will be there, but it's more about, is that Disney Plus person that sits at home watching these, are they going to go out and actually, spend a bunch more money in their free time to watch this?
So I mentioned this a long time ago, but there was, when I was taking my car into the mechanic shop, there's this old guy in his like 60s or 70s, and he saw my Mandalorian keychain, and he's like, oh, that Mandalorian, so such a good show, and like I got Disney Plus so I could watch that show. It's great. I love that show. He just started talking about it. I thought, okay, so this clearly means that not just like he did not strike me as like an in-depth Star Wars fan, because he wasn't using terms that you probably like click with, like, okay, this guy like fucking loves Star Wars. He seems like a GA, but he loves Mandalorian. So I feel like this already has a very resounding presence on the GA.
But does that gentleman does he want to go to the theater and see it, or can he not just wait until it comes on Disney Plus a couple months later?
He said he got Disney Plus renewed so he could watch like the next season of
but I mean, like, when this movie comes out, do you think that
tells me like if he's renewing his Disney Plus to watch this another season, then it tells me he's going to be paying to go to the theater to watch this movie. So I would say that's a similar kind of exchange. Okay. Now when I'm looking at how much they need to spend for a budget, That's definitely a lot per episode that you mentioned, and I hope that they don't go as much as they were spending for like the sequel trilogy, because that was like 300 to 400 million, I think, per
No,
budget,
I don't.
wasn't it?
I think you can pull. I don't think they're getting the 400 million.
Okay, maybe I was looking at
pull it
box
after.
office earnings or something like
Yeah,
that.
and that's where those shows were expensive, and that's why even if you were to take the same budget as the show now and throw them in theatrical, they'd make more money than Plus, because I think like Plus is capped out of what. Like I'm sure it grows and lessens, but I don't think Plus is ever getting a big boom until they get another big series, and I don't think that's happening with the quality of MCU and Star Wars shows right now.
So Rise of Skywalker, budget of 416 million, third most expensive film ever made. Last Jedi,
Really?
300 million. Force Awakens, 306 million. So yeah, that's it.
That's really good
That's a
over
lot
there.
of money.
Mandalorian ain't making enough to get that back.
No, so they need to start off small. I think that 150 million is probably like the safe route, and just that way
It's
you
gonna
can at
be
least
200 for sure. I'm telling you.
200. Just
You're right. 416. What the
That's
fuck
crazy.
was happening at Lucasfilm over there? My
So just-
God, it does look good.
It's a
It
laundry
does-
scheme. It's a money
Yeah.
laundering scheme.
It's a good looking movie. So
I think that they do need to just make sure that the film, like you said, doesn't have any obvious volumes or whatnot. CGI has really, it's gotten worse, much worse these past few years. There's like they're cutting corners, they're doing something, and maybe that's because they're pushing their effects teams like
Well, I
no
think that's
tomorrow,
why,
and
yeah.
like it's just that's horrible, and. I hope that's not the case anymore. I hope that's not the case with Star Wars anymore, because there's no room for that. Get that shit out of here. Take time and put out good quality shit. So now, if we're
Pedro.
looking, not hopefully
Call
not. I was gonna,
Disney is done for if they CGI Pedro's face. They won't do that. I think they could get him. They could get him for that like a couple days or something. So I don't think they do that. But yes, that would not be a good look if they did it. But I think we're safe.
So season 1 and 2 both had the helmet come off for a bit, and I
Yeah.
think that they could easily work in some way that, I mean, do other people need to see him with his helmet off? Not necessarily, but it doesn't mean that we can't. There could be a scene where he's alone or he's caught in like a
7 shower
situation.
scenes in the
Well,
movie.
like if he's
Saltburn.
facing like if he's facing
He's slurping
droids,
he's slurping the BAFTA tank.
if he's facing off against droids or something, that's a pass. He can take his helmet off, and we don't have to revisit that story. And then leading into the story part of this, I think that it's very great. If the season 3 did one thing great, is that it ended on just, hey, he's got his own house, his own place to just chill, and he's got Grogu with him. And that is the perfect place just to kick off a movie with, because you can introduce some new imposing force. You don't have to worry about Gideon. That storyline's done. You don't
No
have to worry
Gideon, no
about really the
Thrawn.
Empire. Yeah,
No
no
Thrawn.
Thrawn. You can create a whole new narrative, and you don't have to touch upon it and be like, hey, you need to go watch the 3 seasons of this show and Book of Boba Fett. Unless you want to see Grogu, maybe people
Yeah.
want to see that, but I think most of the GA is going to be like, oh, here's a guy that looks like Jango Fett or Boba Fett, and here's a little Yoda. Okay, let's see what this is about. It's very random at its core, and people can just latch onto that.
I'll take it back. You could do Thrawn. You just got to do Thrawn in a way where you kind of reintroduce him. Don't make it like he's the Thrawn from like he had the same characteristics, same character, but I mean, like, don't have any lingering plots of like, oh, when I battled with Ahsoka, like, don't do that. Make it like some sort of Mando takes a contract or does a job and it's opposing with Thrawn. Like, that's what I'd say. Don't have it to be too connected to the show. The Filoni one, sure, of course, that's supposed to be the Avengers of Disney Plus. You have to have that connected, but I think this will be the test. Do you both agree that if this one doesn't do well, though, that the Filoni movie's dead?
I think it might either die or transition to like an Ahsoka
back into
season
show,
3
yeah.
or something.
Back to formula.
Back
yeah,
to
it's
formula.
dead. It's
Yeah.
dead.
Because like we'll talk about it after. There's like a mini topic we have about the Game of Thrones directors, and they talk about the Star Wars movie they're making, and it's something similar. So, when do you guys think? Because we just did this movie preview. It's supposed to film this year. I will hit you with it. If you need to look at it, you can go to first showing. But I was going to ask you, is this a 2025 movie? I'll give you the quick rundown. This is in the movie preview. But next year in January, in 2025 in January, not much there. I don't think it's coming in January. But in February, you got a Captain America movie. So probably not, because that's a Disney movie. March, you have Snow White. April, you get Fast X and Minecraft. And the Exorcist movie. May, you get Fantastic Four. Well, I think I figured it out, so never mind. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2, Dirty Dancing in June, How to Train Your Dragon live action, Black Phone 2, and then Avatars in December. You got The Batman in October, Thunderbolt. So, like, what I'm trying to say, Superman Legacy in July, lots of big dates, but I was gonna say, I guess let's have some fun because I imagine with Fantastic Four being delayed, that's probably the date because it's May 2nd. So I guarantee they might just have it May 2nd, a couple days before May 4th. But let's say that didn't happen. Do you think this could come out in like such a packed year, like even December, which is or even that question too? Let's say they go, no, we don't want to do May because we did. The only movie that didn't come out in May was Solo, and that's the only one that didn't do well. So maybe and I do think there is I think people do enjoy the Star Wars Christmas sort of vibe. I think people do like that. So do you guys think that they would roll the dice again and pick a different date, or would they wait until like 2026? Because there's no way they're releasing next December because that's Avatar. They're not gonna. Avatar is the big dog now.
They
so.
won't. No, and that goes hand in hand with what the original scheduling was, where it was vice versa. Star Wars there, Avatar next year.
And Avatar was supposed to be this year, but it got delayed, so that's why. So so. Do you guys think that they would hold out for December, or do you think they'll try a different month next year, like
or even
May?
like May? Yeah, I like the May one. It just May the Force makes sense. So
Solo bad vibes though. Solo came out in May.
oh yeah,
Oh,
I would have said 2025 if
Yeah.
it weren't for all the the numbers, or sorry, the movies you're already listing off there.
It's a stuffed up year, and that's the other
Yeah.
worry I have for. Luckily, it's Star Wars. They haven't had a movie in a while, but we've seen that happen before. All those movies when they came after COVID, we saw some do really well and some just fucking eat it because there was just too much.
So I would have said December if not for the big James Cameron beast in the way.
Yeah. So maybe. May.
I think May has a more optimal opportunity here over the Solo situation because you're dealing with Star Wars fatigue. I feel like people would have seen Last Jedi 6 months later, still probably not hyped on it, and especially now you have a movie that's based on like a younger Solo, not Harrison Ford. So it's probably people that had a sour taste in their mouth from Last Jedi.
This too.
They're already going to have even more of a sour taste from this, and so I feel like it just is very controversial. But this being something that people like. We haven't had a movie prior 6 months. I think that this has a much more standing opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And like even then, Q3, July to September. So let's say, even if let's say they film July, Fantastic Four, they film and get it all done, which they shouldn't be. They get it all done. So what's that? August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. It's 10 months, but like that's a lot to film. And I'm saying that's them filming it in 1 month, but they film in 1 month. They get trailers. Like whatever Marvel's talking about as far as the delays and everything and how they want to take their time, to me, them trying to push a movie out in 10 months is not ideal. That's not what they should be doing. So next year, remember we talked about how it's like, oh, you have Cap, F4, Thunderbolts, and Blade. I think that's the easy spot where Blade right now is in November. You just push Blade to the next year. F4 comes out in November. You fixed already. That means you only got 3 Marvel movies, and then May is open for a Disney movie. So I feel like May is the way, not to try to rhyme with it, but it's just a question of, I don't know. I guess it just has to work. And I guess like what happens before May? Snow White, Cap, and Fast X. So, and then after that, that's when you're getting a lot of big ones. So it might even be better for them to go as early as possible, and they kind of get to kick off that summer season. And Mando's been in December and spring, so yeah, that's what I'll say is May, because we didn't have that Pedro news earlier, so it was a much more intriguing question when we didn't have that, because it looks like that slot will open up. But we'll see. Maybe they break the Solo curse.
Hopefully, someone's got to do it.
Yeah. What was your Taylor before I take an actually let's take an ad break. I'll be right back. And we're back. Mr. Field.
So I mentioned this in the Discord. Go join our Discord, GeekVerse Discord. But I was playing with the idea of what would be kind of revealed at Star Wars Celebration, because they're skipping this year and they're coming back in Japan 2025.
Did find out today though that tickets went on sale for D23, so that is happening this summer.
Oh, okay.
So that can kind of maybe be kind of a layaway to that. I don't think there'll be like a teaser. They didn't say when they're filming this year, but there could be something this year for a Mando movie. Like if they gotta date it soon, I imagine. If not, then I don't see them filming a movie this year and waiting until 2026 to release it. In my opinion.
Yeah, I don't. I agree. I feel like D23, that'd be a great place to drop like a Skeleton Crew trailer and the
Yeah.
Acolyte trailer officially.
Yep.
And yeah, give us something like at least bring like all the cast out on stage for the Mando movie or something
Yeah,
like
because
that.
I'm sure there's
Get
gonna be
people
characters for the
excited.
first time ever. Just I hope they don't just use every single cast member. There should be new characters with new actors as well. You know.
Absolutely. I think in 2025 Star Wars Celebration, that's when you probably get that full trailer for Mando. And then you said like it's when they bring the cast out for the Rey movie or something like that. Right?
When is that celebration in 2025?
April.
Yeah, I guess you could get there'd probably be another trailer or like the final trailer or something like that. If our theory is it's releasing in May, but yeah, I could see the Rey movie if it happens. But already it's like, well, let's transition to the next mini stars topic. Is we had some comments from the directors, but already in this article, that's where people are worrying because you have just months ago they're like, yeah, the Rey movie's first, and now already they're like, well, we're gonna push the Rey movie back and we're gonna do this first. And I still think it's happening, but it's just like. We've had this happen so many times. We're like, oh yeah, I just gotta go film Thor 4, and then I'll be doing Star Wars. And what's Taika doing? He's not doing Star Wars. He's working on a movie with Jenna Ortega, you know. And that's where. So today, these comments came out from Benioff and Weiss, the guys that were the Game of Thrones directors, and they were working on a Star Wars movie, and they were told like. Or they were working on a movie about the first Jedi, the first lightsaber, how the council started. They said Lucasfilm was really excited, and then all of a sudden they weren't excited for the idea, and they were going to call it the first Jedi. They joked that they said they were mad at Ryan Johnson for using the last Jedi. So they said they had their pitch, and what they agreed to do was a movie about the first Jedi. Lucasfilm liked it, and then didn't want to do it. So other people have taken that as like, oh man, that means Mangold's film is in danger. Where are you, Taylor, with the Dawn of the Jedi? We got that, I don't know, probably 6 months ago, that announcement. After these comments, after what happened with Indy 5, what is your percentage on that movie still happening?
Well, yeah, I find it kind of confusing why, like, yeah, the Game of Thrones guys, they have this movie that's on the table and that gets scrapped with them, but then all of a sudden James Mangold comes out and this is the director of the same concept. So Lucasfilm, like,
I don't think it's a. So that's where I disagree. So I guess Kirklin can go last. I didn't want to go next, but I don't think it's happening just because that's the way Star Wars is, and I think that has more to do with Indy 5. I think the whole problem with those Game of Thrones guys is not that it was the concept; it was them, and I think that's the problem with Disney is that Game of Thrones finale came out. And majority of the world did not like it, and they went, let's not go with these guys.
That's fair.
And that's why I think. So that's why when people are like, oh, this means Mangold's movie's fucked because they already changed their mind once. I don't think it's that. I just think that they weren't confident. Now that's the same thing. I would hope, and I still liked Indy 5. Like, to me, it's like Indy 5 underperformed, but to me, if you look at Indy 5 and go, oh, this guy shouldn't be directing a Star Wars movie, it's like, there's so much worse films out there people have made. That doesn't scare them away. I just don't think it's going to happen just because there's just a few things, and after Indy did kind of underperform, like look at Wonder Woman, right? Patty's doing a Star Wars movie. Wonder Woman 2 comes out, disappoints. Oh, that's pulled away. Game of Thrones, oh, that's pulled away. Last Jedi comes out. Oh, Rian Johnson's trilogy's gone. Thor 4 comes out. Some people don't like it. Oh, where's Taika's movie? Like, it's always followed by this. People have to make like a perfect fucking movie. Like, they always hire them off a perfect movie, and then they put out another movie like, oh, I don't know. So I still think Disney has interest in telling the first Jedi story. I don't have interest in it, but I think they would for marketing wise.
I think that there's still so much potential to do like the first Jedi kind of story. I think it could be so different and unique and yeah. I mean, don't make it
dangerous.
a 400.
It's
don't make it a
also
400 million budget.
Yeah, I just think the reward is not worth the risk. I think there's also lots of midichlorian-esque dangerous type where it's like people like, oh, you really fucked. Like, I think that movie could actually really hurt the brand if they fuck up the origins of the Jedi. So that's why I'd always leave it in people's minds. Never touch it.
If I had
First
my
Jedi's name was Skywalker.
Fuck.
Right though, like I don't care what anyone says. Fuck Solo the movie. Yes, it is a movie. The fact that he got his name when I'm alone. Oh, Han Solo
Walks amongst the sky.
Yeah, like
So called
if they do
Skywalker.
shit like that, I do think they have a chance of like really hurting the brand to people being like, I'm done with Star Wars. The same way we're talking about with Marvel, where there's a lot of people being like, hey, if they don't figure it out, I'm done with Marvel going forward. Like, I think the first Jedi movie is very dangerous.
To be fair, though, I feel like people have been saying that for like since the fucking like requel series, the new series, or Last Jedi,
and that's what we're gonna
people
find
are
out.
still
Though,
watching
right?
it. But
Yeah, they're watching, but numbers are starting to go down, right? Like all
That's
these
true.
shows are
It's slowly
lower.
happening.
You know, same thing with Marvel. All the stuff is lower.
It's definitely dangerous. I can't disagree with that because it's so untapped. But if I have my pick, I feel like the clear choice is just to don't have to go that far, but just go into the High Republic
Oh, they're going
era. Like we are, but it's taken so long to get there. And even then, they're like, "Oh, let's go High Republic," but no, let's go not too far.
Right
Let's keep
before
it still
Phantom
close.
Menace.
Yeah, right before Phantom Menace. Like, come on, you guys. Like, I'm happy to go around the prequel time a little bit more because that's fun. But like, get us further back because there's a rich amount of stuff that you can focus on. Like you said before, Travis, when you do a prequel, you know what's going to happen with these characters, like in Rogue One. That's totally fair. But if you go back a few hundred years, you don't know what's going on. That's why when we read and review those High Republic novels, there's so much going on. Martian Row and whatnot. It's like, oh, what's going to happen with these characters, like and unexpected deaths and whatnot. So that's what they should be focusing the films on. I would say
There has been rumblings that your boy, apparently Filoni, the creative whatever chief officer, whatever his name is, there's rumors going around that he is not a fan of the Old Republic era. So that's why we
like the High Republic that's been created,
No,
or just
the
the
Old
Old Republic with
Republic.
like
That's been the word going around that he is not a fan of that content. So that's why I think we've had so
Get him
little
out of there.
it.
He
Definitely
doesn't deserve to be leading the charge.
Yeah.
there's good shit in there. That's a shame.
I think as it's not George shit though. That's why.
But he would have signed off on all those things, right? All the games.
Kind
and
of, but he
everything.
probably had no fucking. Oh, I'm making a video game show. Yes.
Just cracked up.
Yellow lightsabers. Yeah, you can put that in there. Could I a check? A check? Yeah. Okay. Give me a check.
Add another zero to that, and you can do that.
Yeah.
I really wish they were able to just adapt more, like books or something, to the live screen as opposed to just
Yes.
telling a brand new story. They never do that. At least try it. Like,
Majority of the
see
people
what
that like
happens.
Star Wars don't read these books. They have no idea. Adapt
Yeah.
the fucking books, even if it's an
They wouldn't
animated
know it's
movie.
a book. Yeah.
You know. Ugh. Yeah. Where are you, Kirk? Where are you now
Yeah.
on the Dawn of the Jedi? Because, like I said,
Dawn of
this
the Jedi, yeah.
this created the whole debate again because they said, "Hey, that was our pitch," and they don't want to do it. So be like, "Why now?" And then obviously there's stuff moving around, right? Like I said, the Rey movie was supposed to be first, but I'm like, "Oh well, not gonna be first anymore." So it's that classic Star Wars where there was a roadmap, but now things are shifting again, and people are getting concerned.
Classic Star Wars. Sometimes hope is all we have in the galaxy, you know? And I feel like that's where I'm at right now. It's definitely a lower percentage chance of happening than I maybe would have had before. I don't know. Before you would have asked me months ago, but I want to say it's like 55% chance still happening. Very low, you know? Like I don't like those odds, but still over the 50% mark. A lot of that probably has to do with just my want pick. I do really want to see this story. Even if it is atrocious, luckily, I feel like I'm very good at selective canon, and I can just pick what stories I want
This is
and
what is
sleep happy. Yeah, exactly. Like in my mind, you know, Darth Bane, he's still kicking around. Not the Rebels version or whatever the hell they had, but the Old Republic stories. I'm a huge fan of those, and you know, as long as they're in my head, they're not dead. They're what canon I want to make it. So, but for probability,
Filoni's gonna inception your mind and take them out.
one day,
Yeah.
I'm just like
We all wake up, we've forgotten the Old Republic.
We all have like marks on us for some reason, like needle marks.
I love
They do the
Boba Fett all
inception
of a
mark.
sudden.
All of
That's
our
Star
like
Wars.
our hard hates are just like completely flipped, especially around Disney. They just
Fuck,
totally.
why'd I own a cowboy hat now? This is awesome.
We're all just rocking cowboy hats. No explanation on the cast.
Filoni pony.
I don't know why. I ordered one and I just wanted to put it on.
I keep
It's like,
ordering
you too?
hats
Oh
every
my
month.
gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, because you bring up great points on why they would get rid of it. I think if I didn't have my heart pick in there, it definitely would be the below 50%. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, sometimes great power and just hoping.
I really hope that they don't permanently bench that Rey movie. I feel like that is a fantastic. It's a fantastic idea, and I think that character deserves that very, very much. So I think Daisy Ridley deserves
director's
that
pissing
too.
everyone off, though, with her comments about Star
guess
Wars
so.
and being female and everything.
Yeah,
so.
I just think that just to do
Which is dumb.
like
Not
a couple,
the comments, people's outrage.
a little bit in the future after the sequel trilogy, all that stuff. Just Rey, new Jedi Order, bring in a new threat. That's just got tap potential all over it. I know as a fan, I want to see tons of Jedi on screen, on the big
Absolutely.
screen. So
Chuck, you look out. Filoni's gonna come get you. The Jack Black and Lizzo episode was shit. Yeah, he's gonna come back.
He's gonna
I
wake up
fucking
the
love
next
that
morning.
episode. Yeah.
Wearing a
Listen to
cowboy
About
hat
Time.
too. That's how we know who's been hit by the Inception.
'Cause I'm
Everyone's wearing
ready.
cowboy hats.
Yeah, cowboy hat and Lizzo shirt. That's gonna be the combo. And then just to tie in this news quickly, there's a rumor going around that the Tales of the Jedi show is not going to be just Tales of the Jedi anymore. Sounds like they might be spinning off and doing Tales of the Bounty Hunter and Tales of the Sith. Kirk and Pats are. I can't remember. Did you ever get around to watching Tales of the Jedi? Because I know you're. I thought you were
I
busy.
thought you reviewed it with
I thought
us,
I
but-
reviewed it with you guys.
I thought he didn't make it for some reason.
Maybe not. I don't
Maybe
know.
Filoni took that out of my mind. But
I watched it. I like it. I like what they're doing with that show.
so what about those
Tale-
two concepts?
Tales of I do love that idea because it's just like more content, more stories that they're telling, but I also don't want to like take away from what they were doing with Tales of Jedi because I think that show is just fantastic and I love what they are doing. I don't want them to change up that formula or anything, but
I think these are selling in addition to, not replacing. That's what the rumor is.
You could get
Oh,
a plague,
okay.
Like
Plagueis
three separate,
Insidious.
yeah, 3 shows.
No, fuck yeah, man.
Fuck yeah, man.
I'll buy
He's
a
got the cowboy hat
I'll buy
on
a
now.
I'll buy a
Where's
cowboy
Shay?
hat if I
Where's
get
my
that this
hat?
week. Yeah, I'm gonna be on that review with my cowboy hat, Filoni style. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. I love that. There's so many like bounty hunters. Maybe I think a little bit lesser of them because of the Boba Fett show. They're not as badass as I once thought they were as a wee young lad. But I mean, just interacting with bounty hunters throughout the games, like KOTOR, like man, they're totally menacing. Just like dealing with them. So. I that would be sweet to see, as well as obviously more Sith stories. That's something that's just been a massive drought in the entire lifespan of Star Wars. So even though they're like the main threat of the Jedi, it's just I don't know. I want to see more focused stories on them.
You could get your Bane, like I said.
Yeah, I
Plagueis,
guess.
Old
Insidious,
Republic,
like-
though, Filoni's not a fan. So, no, that's that. So I'm like same. I'm all for it. That's great. Tales of Jedi was fantastic for the most part, especially the Dooku stuff. Even though it's like the Dooku feels like that should be in the Tales of the Sith story now, because it's like
Totally.
So it's just like maybe that was their inspiration of like, oh, we should do more of this. All I ask is don't have every season to focus on a character we really like or like already know. I don't need Tales of Bounty Hunter to have 3 episodes of Boba Fett like they did Ahsoka, and I don't need. Sith is different, but here's the thing. I'm fine with Vader because I think they should tap in, like we're talking about books. I think they should tap in those comics. Give me some of those stories where he's hunting down those Jedis. Absolutely. What I
yes.
don't need, though, and what I know Filoni will do, he'll do one episode that's a Clone Wars episode where it's him and Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's like, maybe something's wrong with my apprentice. Never mind. I'm just going to continue on. Like, I don't want them to go over things that Filoni and company have already done. The Ahsoka stuff was fine, but when we got some of those episodes, which I know you like, Taylor, but I think a lot of us were like, hey, we've gone so much Clone Wars, like let's get something else. Let's get new characters, new stories. So Sith, I think for me, and this is the same thing when you got to, it's all about the selection because I think Darth Maul Clone Wars era, absolutely not. But I think Darth Maul on, where the fuck is he from? Dathomir? Like,
Dathomir.
shit like young Darth Maul, like an episode ending with Palpatine recruiting him. It's like, fuck
cool.
yeah, And same thing with Jango. I mean, I'm opposed to Boba. Jango, I'm not. Jango is what I would actually like because Boba I've had enough of. But Jango, I think there's still lots of untapped potential with him. Asajj Ventress, stuff like that. There's wait, I can't remember. Is Asajj? Is she the bounty hunter? Or is she the?
She became
Count
a bounty
Dooku?
hunter.
But
She
she's
was
the
Count
Count
Dooku's
Dooku.
apprentice.
Yeah,
and
so she
became
could be
the
in
bounty
both.
hunter,
What
so-
is the other one that got killed off screen in Han Solo?
Or Singh.
Yeah, or saying she's great. Like, tap into those characters. I get that they got to have one big one, so it's fine. But if you do one big one, just make it stories that we haven't seen before. But this is great. This doesn't move the needle for the fandom, but I think, like, this is probably the stuff they should probably start doing more on Disney Plus for Marvel and DC or Disney or sorry Star Wars because not DC because if they feel like these streaming shows live actions might be too much and not making a return, I think these shows satisfy that hardcore audience and but yeah, Taylor, your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, just like looking at this lineup. Yeah, we got Dengar for an episode.
Fucking Dengar. I hope we get an episode
man.
just for the. We've talked about the memes of since Geekverse has begun. Dengar. You know what? I'll take a Dengar episode. Why does he look like that? Give me a fucking episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
Looks
you
like
go.
shit.
IG-11.
Yes,
Give me an episode
absolutely.
of him. Bosk for sure.
Absolutely,
Bosk.
Bosk. Yeah.
That'd be sweet. I can't remember these two dudes, but yeah, they're there.
We'll
Those
definitely
two
get a
dudes.
young Boba Fett episode too. I think of him as
Oh,
a
yeah.
kid.
I don't really need it because they
Veneers.
did a lot of that in the Clone Wars. So
Well, they did that with Ahsoka, right? There's precedence for it there.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
You know there'll be one because what did we get for Jedi? It was Dooku, Ahsoka, and am I forgetting another one?
there
Oh,
were
Qui-Gon Jinn, right?
two Dooku, or no, there were three Dooku ones, right? Because there was Mace Windu and Dooku on a mission. Then there was Qui-Gon Jinn and Dooku on a
Okay.
mission. Then there was Dooku turning on Yaddle.
Okay.
And then there was like three Ahsoka ones, right?
Okay, so it's just those two. Yeah, I really don't want a known character covering same stuff again. But
Yeah. But I'm there for like the bounty hunter stuff. That would be probably at like there's some cool things, but that would be at the bottom of my excitement. Like Tales of the Jedi, continuing that would be number 2, and then number 1 would be Tales of the Sith. I think
Yeah.
that there is some juicy stuff there that I really want to explore. And like Rebels kind of dip their toes into that stuff a little bit by going to some Sith planets.
get us to
and exploring
Exegol.
it,
Yeah,
so-
even that. Like
Oh,
imagine
that would
if
be cool.
Imagine if 3 episodes about the planet, not even a character, just like that planet in different eras of Star Wars. What was going on?
Well,
'Cause they've
that-
done that in the comic book. So
And in
you
the
know.
book too,
Like
Shadows
Vader
of
was
the
on
Sith,
Exegol.
right? Vader and
Yeah.
Palpatine were on Exegol together. That would be such a cool thing to see. Oh,
Absolutely. Yeah.
great book, Shadows of the Sith. So,
So-
that's got peak excitement for me.
Yeah, so hopefully this is true, so we'll see. So we'll take our last break, and then we're going to do just a quick fire segment of some other news, so we'll be right back. And we're back. So yeah, this is going to be one segment. So I'm going to hit you guys with 5 topics, and you're going to talk about them all, but they're all mini topics. So you got Mickey 17 has been delayed indefinitely. We talked about our movie draft. Godzilla's movie update. We can actually just take that out because there's really nothing to say. Check out the movie draft. We talked about it. Last of Us cast Caitlin Dever as Abby. She was in the No One Will Survive or Save You, whatever it will be. So she is the, a rival of Ellie that's going to be in the season, and she was somebody that was originally, when they're making the movie, talked about for being for Ellie, but years later didn't happen. Not 28 years later, but funny enough, I think on just an After 9 or something, Taylor, we were just talking about this. Announced today that they're making a 28 years later, because you're like, oh, it's going to be months. Like, no, they got to do the years, and it's going to be 28 years later. Danny Boyle's come back to direct, so original director. Alex Garland is writing the script, so he did Ex Machina, Men, Annihilation, so big team there. They've said this could be the start of a trilogy, which I don't know why they need to say that, but that's what they said. Star Trek has a new movie being worked on. It's from one of the directors of Andor, so that's supposed to be coming out. It's going to be a prequel to the 2009 Star Trek. And then finally, there has been a Supergirl short list. I'm not sure if you guys know the 2 other actresses, but one of them is Millie Alcock, so she's the girl that was Rhaenyra from Game of Thrones or House of Dragon. The other one is Meg Donnelly. I don't think you'd know her. She's currently voicing Supergirl in the animated universe. And then I'm not sure, did you guys ever see Coda?
No. That was
Very
the,
great movie.
The
Oh,
one
go
with Benedict, right? Or no? Oh no, I'm thinking of the one with
No.
the dog. Whatever whatever the fuck it's
Oh,
called.
Power of the Dog. Yeah,
Power
yeah,
of the
Coda,
Dog. There you
yeah,
go.
Coda was about.
It was an Oscar movie, right? Is that the
Yeah,
whole
it was.
thing?
I think
Yeah.
it's the whole family's death except for one daughter, so it's like her struggles dealing with that. One Best Picture. She, the main actress of that, is, and you could pull the names. Maybe it's a thing. So maybe that one will be more of me talking. But Kirklin Patzer, go.
Where do you want me to start?
Star Trek.
Star
Excited,
Trek.
not excited. Prequel to 2009 movies.
Absolutely no. Oh, prequel? Yeah, okay. Minimal interest. I went from 0 interest to minimal.
Okay.
Next one. Okay.
You guys, no. You guys can answer this because I was talking about this with Chris, and Superman Mike said the same thing. I believe that in its current state, there's not interest for Star Trek movies anymore. I think that is just a TV franchise. Now, Joe from GOA also said, well, couldn't you make that case for Star Wars? You could, because it's just been TV for years. But the difference is Star Wars, all billion-dollar films except for one, those last 3 Star Trek movies you have to put together to just get over $1 billion. It's like 300, 450, and then 300. The last one dips. So it's like, I'm in the perspective of I don't think there's a big need for Star Trek the movies. I don't think the GA really cares about it that much anymore. I think maybe one day again, but I don't think right now, especially to me it being a prequel to the 2009 one, I think even less so will get people excited. So maybe we're going to quick fire these together. So that's my thing. Like, do you think people are wanting a Star Trek movie? Because I don't. I really don't, actually.
I think yes. I think like general audience, it is very dependent on the casting of it, though. Like I think Chris. My God,
Pine.
Thank you. Chris Pine was a major like boost for that. Just like he's such a fantastic star. So to have him leading the charge, I think that really helped the overall health of those movies, like numbers wise.
Him, though.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
So it does depend on who the cast is, but I still think there is some interest. Because like there's major Star Trek fans that are loving the show, so obviously those people would love to see some more Star Trek movies. And the general audience, it's a big enough name that they'll hear it, and as long as it has a good trailer, maybe a good cast, I think there'll be some interest for it. Because the other ones did really good numbers wise, and again, like it is to do with the cast. What do you mean no?
350, 450, and 350. That's like I think that's like solid, but not like really
bad?
good.
If that was my movie draft, I'd be so happy with those numbers.
But like in 2016, where that was like in the billion,
it's like $1 billion movie now for inflation.
Like, in the billion era, like in the $1 billion movie era, when in 2016 they're making like 350. It's like I guess for me, I guess it's the budget dependent. So if you can do it that way, but it's like space.
It would have a big budget for sure.
Yeah, and I just don't know. It's like, there's diehard fans, but there's diehard Marvel, Mission Impossible, indie, DC. It's like, I guess it's just now when we're in the state of not everything's a guaranteed hit anymore.
Right.
That's where I'm like, is this where you want to spend the money? And I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not super confident with that thought. It's just my overall. If you're probing me, I would suggest that yes, there's some interest out there.
I'm also not a fan of the writer. I'll bring up the director of Andor. That's great. Clearly, most. I think not most, but I think there's lots of people that are Star Trek and Star Wars fans. I like Star Trek enough, but I'm definitely just a Star Wars fan, and I do think that has a bit to do with it. I think when Star Wars came back, some people that like myself checked out those Star Trek films were like, Star Wars is back, so I'll check out that. But like the writer. He wrote the Lego Batman movie, so that's like his best credit. But before that, Dark Shadows, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, Just Beyond.
It's got a genre.
Oh God, he wrote Beetlejuice too. Yeah, I'm not a fan of his stuff other than Lego Batman. But Taylor, Star Trek.
I am certainly excited for this. It'll be a prequel that definitely negates like a fraction, but I'm still very excited. I really love those 3 trilogy films.
Did you see that last one in theaters?
Yeah, I did. I think I saw all of them except for the first one that came out of this trilogy. But Into Darkness is my favorite of the 3 of them. Really, really loved it, and for me, it was the cast, the whole roster that they had. I just fell in love with them. I loved how they portrayed these characters, and I really got into it. And again, the score, everything about those films was fantastic. I'm really happy that this is going to be in that universe, but the downside is the cast that's changing up, and so that was a huge hook for me.
It's to save on that budget. We're talking about budget. Don't gotta pay those people again.
So I'm going to be there. I'm going to see it in theaters for sure, and I'm curious to see what they're going to do. But for me, if I had to pick, I would have preferred keep the cast and do a Star Trek number 4.
Yeah.
So I think
that's
that there
dead
is
now.
Yeah, I think it's dead too. I think there's definitely still a market to tap into for Star Trek to be in theaters. I really, really do. Yeah, I think maybe just the main like fans for the most part probably like, maybe they weren't driving with this trilogy that was going on, and maybe they want something new and fresh. And I think that's what the TV shows have offered, because you have like Lower Decks, which is like I think like more of a comedy styled animated series for Star Trek, and you have a whole bunch of different projects like Picard. Yeah, so there's a different plethora of things to tap into. So I think that just means do that with a film. Don't follow the same trilogy setting. Let's do something prequel before the whole time travel Spock stuff, because I think that pissed off the community a little bit too when they brought like old Spock back to young
Yeah.
Spock and whatnot.
Yeah, I
So-
would actually say that too. Is just go smaller. You know, like Star Trek wasn't Star Wars. Like it wasn't about the big action stuff. Like just make a great movie. That's why I was hoping. Again, can't say make a great movie because great movies bomb all the time. But I mean, just make something anti-Star Wars in the way it stands out. It doesn't just get thrown in, oh, it's another space movie. You know, something that's okay, going to catch your eye. And, you know, a director of Andor, that could be that, because Andor is, you know, similar in that where it caught people's eyes, right? So we'll tackle the casting next because it's very quick. But yeah, Millie Alcock, Amelia Jones, Meg Dogley, those were the names. But yeah, I'm pulling for Millie. I'm disappointed. It's good and bad news. It's bad news because I always thought that, like everyone else, you know, whenever they do Spider-Gwen out there at Sony, it doesn't mean she can't do it, but I just feel like it sounds like they're casting Supergirl because she's going to be in Superman Legacy and then she's going to be in her own film. It sucks because, like, I think she's the pick, Millie, out of all of them. Meg Donnelly, I don't know that much, so I don't have much to say there. She has the look. And then Amelia Jones, me and Kay were talking about this, where she's from Coda. I think that she should have a role in one of these big franchises, but I don't think Supergirl is the exact right fit. But at the same time, I haven't seen the script and I don't know the pitch, so she could be the perfect fit for whatever they're doing. I just think Millie is the right choice for acting, and I also think just star-wise, where I don't think she probably has like a big salary, but like people know her and they love that show. And so it's bad news that maybe she won't end up being Spider-Gwen, but it's probably good news because it's like the way I give you know, Sydney Sweeney and Dakota Johnson and Zac Efron's agent shit for like the projects they pick. Like if you're an agent, you're like, hey, you could be like in the Sony Spider-Man movies, or you could be like in Legacy. Sure.
Yeah.
The DCU hasn't started, but I got much, much more faith in James Gunn than I do than anybody over there at Sony in the live action crew, you know?
And the fact that it's starting up, she could be a main pillar, right, to start off this whole
Absolutely.
next
Yeah.
franchise series. So very exciting prospect for that.
Yeah.
Are you
So I
done?
hope it happens. I'm pulling for Millie. I want that one to happen, and I think she's got that's definitely something James Gunn is doing, whether people like it or don't like it. Like he's going for very comic book looking people, like that look
Yeah.
like from the page, you know? So
Respect it.
yeah. You guys got any more thoughts on that? I know the other actresses you don't know, so there's not much there. That's why it's a quick
Yeah,
fire,
just
but-
speaking on Millie, I think that's really exciting. I think I actually
Mhm.
casted her in our little fan casting that we did on the newscast there, so that'd be cool to get
As
her in there.
Supergirl?
I thought so. I thought we were
Did you?
talking
I'll have
about
to listen to more.
casting
Okay.
for it.
I'm
Yeah.
sure she's come up because, like, obviously she was great in House of Dragon, so
She was fantastic, and I
Yeah.
feel like I've just been waiting for that next thing that she's been in because
Yes.
I really liked her in that, and the fact that like we are getting House of Dragon season 2, but not with her. It's a little.
everyone
bit
was
of a
bummed when
letdown.
it was like
Yeah.
half the season and she's gone, right? So
I wish I had more episodes with her. So yeah, I want to see her in a big franchise thing. I think she's great. I think that's fantastic. I really hope it is her because I can't really speak on the other ones. I know some people, you know, they get really pumped when the voice actor retains the role. Obviously, that's happened a couple times in Star Wars now. Or is it just the one time in Star Wars?
I think there's a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
luckily, this is like it's a different continuity. It's just like some animated movies, but still, like she does a good enough job. I liked her in the movie. She is not the problem with those movies because those movies stink right now. So they're not
Yeah.
good.
I think that's really all I have to say on Supergirl.
Taylor, any thoughts on Supergirl? You pulling for Millie as well, or you think
I'm
you
pulling
want
for
her
Millie as
somewhere
well.
else? Yeah.
I think again I can't speak to the other ladies that much, but obviously the one that has her foot already in the door, I can see how that would give her an edge.
Well, they all
she's
got their foot in the door. Oh, that one I see. Yeah, I think you were saying Millie. I'm like, I think they all got their foot in the door.
No,
the one
she's-
actress was
she's-
in a Best Picture winner. I think she's doing okay.
Yeah, another one actress that's been voicing for Supergirl. I think she has an edge on knowing a little bit more about this character and just kind of like go on that route. But
And
I'm
she is
pulling
the
for
one.
Millie.
She liked a tweet today confirming she's screencasting. Someone was like, "Couldn't you see like Dave Cornswell and her together?" And then she liked that, which I was like, "Oh, I don't know if we should have done that." But that could also mean she already has the fucking role too. So
They might fire her now.
well, they can't
Breaking
fire
embargo.
her. The universe is ending, so like
Yeah,
they're
take her
ending that
money
anime.
for
You,
it.
you had Supergirl, it's Millie's now. So I just had a question quickly about this because you guys can't add much in The Last of Us. We talked about this with that, but Caitlin Dever, also, I think we all like her. We all like that movie.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing is, do you guys? Abby is a character. Something happens to her. She becomes a brick shit house, pretty much like a powerhouse. You've probably seen photos, so she's very big. Do you think, because that's been the debate with this, because Kayla is like a smaller girl, do you think that has to happen with this? And I'm sure she might put on some pounds, but like, do you think, and you guys are coming from this from like a non-fan point of view, and I'm sure most of the general audience is too, they don't know that, but like, do you think that is required that you got to go out there and get like Thor Hemsworth beefcake because that's what Abby is in the video games?
I haven't seen this image that you're describing, so I'm just
Okay.
picturing Amelia Clark
I'll-
with the Drax arm. With
It's not Amelia
Abby.
Clark.
No, I know.
Oh, that I see.
Yeah, from Secret Invasion. I'm picturing that
Yes.
level of jackness. It's tough to say because I really don't know anything about this character. I haven't even seen what she looks like in the video game, let alone how she would look comparing that to this actress. But I love this actress. I've seen her in. Oh my gosh, what's it called? The
No one will survive.
No One Will Survive, but what's the comedy one that she did?
Booksmart.
Booksmart. That one was
Great in
great.
that.
She was great in that. So I definitely want to see her in more things. It's tough for me to say if she is or not a great pairing for the Abby role. Oh my gosh, those guns. Holy fuck. Those are Hemsworth levels.
Jesus.
Caitlin Deaver is not getting that big. I'll tell you that.
She
much.
Wow, she could take my lunch money. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's imposing.
But she's something in the game that something happens to her, and then she's like, I'm never gonna let that happen again. And it's like happens when she's a small child, and she just spends her like just years just fucking training. Like she just becomes a fucking destroyer because she doesn't want, some. It's in Last of Us world, right? So just imagine like, okay, I gotta get ready.
It's again. It's really tough for me to say like how they could adapt that to live action because I don't know. Like I don't know if she gets Bane juice that just makes her this fucking monolith of an individual, or
it's
she
all
just
like
trains.
natural in the game. It's just someone picking up weights and rocks and stuff.
So
because the answer is the fans would say, "Well, Kirkland, why don't you go and cast a bodybuilder?"
True, but like, would you rather have a bodybuilder that can't act for shit and like really can't hit anything in like
Gina
emotional
Carano in
scenes?
Gina Carano, yeah.
Get her in there, yeah.
I'm
She'd
with
be
you,
the
no.
double.
I'm
It'll
always
be like,
with you.
it'll be like in Scary Movie.
Double.
It'll be like in Scary Movie, Taylor. That scene that we were talking about when it's like she like gets on the motorbike and it's like so clearly a different person. It's like a dude.
It's not on the plans. We gotta make a parody movie, scary movie, top secret. Like we gotta sit down. I think what we gotta do is we gotta write a serious script, like we did with Adrenochrome, and then when we're on set and we have those ideas, and that's where we make it. Where we write the script, and then when we're making it, that's when we make the parody stuff because we just get these ideas. But I'm just posing the question because I'm completely in your camp where. I'm fine if this just say, oh, this happened to Abby, and the way she's trained is she's just a very skilled fighter now. I know people be like, she's not big, this is not the thing, but it's like, I'm all like the story. I get it. It makes sense. I love that concept of something bad happens. Fuck this. I'm gonna get massive, so nothing like that will happen. And I understand that, but like I think you can adapt that and change that with something else. And I'm always gonna pick the better actress. And I'm not saying there's probably some bodybuilder out there could be a good actress, but it's just like we know what Deaver can do, and I feel like I also like the funness of she was almost Ellie at one point. Like I think there's like that's an interesting dynamic. So I'm always gonna pick the actor over the look because that's just something for video games and movies,
That was the last thing I was gonna say. Was
comics.
like a character can be dangerous and not be jacked, right?
Yes.
Like when I think of John Wick, Keanu Reeves, like he's not a bodybuilder, but man, that guy is dangerous. He fucks so many people up in those movies. So that could be a tweak, and as long as that's not like a core foundation of what that character is, that can like the whole story is wrapped around that, which it seems like it's not. I think that's totally fine if you have Caitlin Deaver. I mean, hey, if she wants to fucking take some interesting supplements and just get totally huge.
Portman got bigger,
credit
right?
her.
For Thor, she didn't get like Abby big, but she got
That's
like
right.
bigger and stuff.
I remember those set photos. She was almost looking like Abby there with those guns.
Taylor, any thoughts on the weigh-in of what they should look and show? Because like we live in the era, right, of Chris Pratt gets casted. He's known as like a chubby comedy guy. Guardians comes around, he's fucking jacked, 8-pack. Like we're in that era of hey, get to the gym and get real big.
The Eternals guy gets
Yeah,
jacked for no reason.
Why did Kumail Nanjiani get jacked to shoot things at his fingers? Like that's where it's just like I'm completely again. Yeah, like come on now.
I totally understand that for certain characters you need to meet different this is a topic that has been met with a lot of flack and a lot of discrimination. A lot of people have taken offense to it, like, oh, why should a person have to change? Why should an actor or actress have to change who they are, or not who they are, but like what they look and their appearance to fit a role for a film? I understand that. But again, if you are in the business of being an actor or actress, I imagine that just goes hand in hand with being in that business. You have to portray these characters that are required for this project. Prime example, Christian Bale. Holy fuck, has that guy just gone up and down the scale of just...
So you want him to be Abby?
No, well, yeah.
Oh, Ellie. It is Christian Bale.
So I think that if an actor or actress wants to go for it and try and meet that standard that these showrunners have for a certain character for their show, by all means, go for it. But at the end of the day, I'm not someone who is going to be losing my mind or my coconut if they're not fitting that in-game character, what they're supposed to look like just jacked to the nines or anything like that. I think she's a great actress. I like her. So I think putting her into this role is fantastic. And for me, at the end of the day, their acting is going to sell me more if they deliver that portion of it really well, more than just like how identical do they look to the character, right? So...
And then finally, 28 days later, or 28 years later, I'm all for this. I think we talked about this on After Nine or something came up. Danny Boyle come back. That's great. You know, he's a great director, Academy Award winner, many great films I enjoy. You know, the OG Alex Garland, that's an exciting choice. I think my only hang up was just like, much like we're talking about the era of actors got to get jacked. I just don't know this obsession with, and this is the plan to start a new trilogy. It's just like, it's been a long time. I think this will do well because I think the budget will probably not be massive, but still, it's been a long time. We don't know if the interest is here. It's also been years as tons of zombie movies and shows. It's like this movie could come out and eat it, and I just feel like, and I just also hope that's not the intention. I don't want to be watching this movie like, okay, it's gonna end in the 5 minutes and there's gonna be a big cliffhanger. Like that was my only holdup of I love this entire package until and it's planned to be the start of a trilogy. It's like, I don't know. Like that's not what I was thinking when I thought, 28 days later should come back. There's something to do with it. I was thinking like the one film, and then who knows? But like a trilogy already, I'm like, okay, so that's just my holdup. Is I hope it's not sequel baity, but the concept of let's do a film, original director back, absolutely, I'm all for this. And I think the 28 days later, or in 28 years, I'm gonna keep saying that it's a fun idea, fun concept to do, and I hope it happens so we can do a retro. But
Yeah.
So I like the idea. I just didn't need the little extra of like, and we got more. It's like I just don't think I need the 28 days later to become a franchise. It's just a weird obsession Hollywood has right now, with everything has to be a cinematic universe and sequels and the spin-offs. You know, just make the one.
It's almost like they're like it's like a sales pitch. They're
Yes.
shooting for the stars, and hopefully they land on the moon. You know, like
You gotta
let's
see
shoot
the
out a
first
trilogy
one.
because they got to. Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, if it bangs, then they already have plans, as they say. But I mean, just because they say that, nothing is set in stone. But I've only seen the first one once, and it's been a long time. So
Yeah,
I really hope this happens because I really want to do that retro and talk about it with you guys. That'd be lots of fun. So this is definitely exciting news. Especially, I feel like I've just been waiting for like a reason to rewatch those movies. Like Cillian Murphy's in
Oh
in
yeah,
the
it was one
original
of his
one,
first
isn't he?
roles.
Yeah,
I think
so
that might have been the role that broke him out to people get on the radar at least.
he's so hot right now. So
yeah.
I definitely want to do that retro and see him in there. And
I
how
don't think
many
he's coming
films is
back,
there?
but
There's just
I think
two.
it's just two, right?
Two.
'Cause
Yeah.
28
Two.
weeks and months, right?
Easy retro. Let's do it
Days and
anyways.
weeks. Days and weeks. No months.
Okay, right. They could right. That was your pitch, was months and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then they can wait a couple. They can do
Trilogy.
28 years, and then they'd be like
28
20
centuries
20
later. It's like a sci-fi movie, Blade Runner style.
Yeah.
I feel like 28 Days Later really just cemented itself as being, I'd say it's a cult classic. It's something that
Yeah.
every zombie fan has like on their list. It does definitely like its own thing.
It's a lot of
It's-
top tens. Like a
absolutely.
best of zombie list. You know, you're gonna see something from Cesar Romero, and you're gonna see a fucking 28 Days Later on there. You know,
Yeah, it's iconic.
or George A.
So-
Romero. Sorry,
Yeah, George.
not Caesar. That's the Joker from Batman '66. What's he doing on this list?
No, that first one I've seen it a few times. I've really enjoyed, and I really enjoy the second one too. The second one is terrifying. I like the first one because it just is. It's one of those rare zombie horror movies that just feels so hopeful at the end, and you just really like it. It's great. It's a really, really good ending after all the tribulations they go through. And then that second one of the most freakiest like starts to a zombie movie.
Jeremy
I'd
Renner's
say.
in this.
He is in
Rose
it. Yeah,
Byrne, Idris Elba's in this.
yeah.
I don't-
It's good.
I don't know if I've ever seen the second all the way through, so that's interesting.
There again, the way they set up the storyline, it's pretty interesting, and I'll have to rewatch it again. It's the one I always go back to because it's crazy just how shit hits the fan in that film, but it's great. Jeremy Renner is fantastic in it. Really, really. like his character.
Renner would be different though. Yeah.
Renner, yeah, fantastic. So I'm excited to get another one in this universe. They ended that second one on a huge cliffhanger, so I'm curious if this is going to
Finally.
be starting just a kind of like a reboot of the situation. Starting it, is it going to be continuing off of that narrative? Because
I think you could get some of that answered, but I think it'll be probably entirely new actors, I imagine.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, with how that second one ended, I'm ready just for this to be global and then to expand it. So
Global.
sounds good.
There you go. That's just some quick little segments there. Nothing to be a big juicy main one, but a lot of good appetizers. So yeah, we wanted to do that because the next few weeks we've still got like we got like 3 Golden Geeks coming out. We got some drafts, so maybe you'll get more of these, just kind of mini, just a little bit over an hour newscast, but we almost hit an hour and a half. So thank you very much for tuning in. Let us know your thoughts on all these, whether it's Discord, YouTube, etc. And when you hear from us next, I promise you, it'll not be boring.
Bye.